How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of Sci-Fi Saturday. And we're on to episode 11 in season 1 of Star Trek, and it's the Menagerie Part 1. So it's the first two-parter of the series. Well, guys, I will have a full uncut reaction to this episode as well. Link will be in the description for my Patreon if you're interested in supporting the channel further, you can do that. And just a quick shout out to my patrons, to Ravi, to JM63, to Mary, to Blaze, to Jared, to Jenny, to Gigi Gooding and Mihal. Thank you for the support, really appreciate it. Also, guys, just a quick mention that I will be doing a Q&A on Sunday, St. Patrick's Day. So I have a community post up on the channel. If you want to get a question in, you can write it in the comments underneath there. But with that said, let's watch the latest edition of Star Trek. Even while I'd heard something about there's a reference to Captain Pike in this episode, obviously from the pilot episode, which I did watch. The audio was muted for some reason, so I wasn't able to put the reaction up on the channel.
We received a subspace message asking us to divert here immediately.
The space sent no message, Captain.
I can't understand this.
Mr. Spock received a transmission from the starbase. A message from the former commander of the Enterprise fleet, Captain Pike.
You don't know. You actually don't know what's happened to Captain Pike? There's been subspace chatter about it for months.
Spock served with him for several years.
11 years, 4 months, 5 days.
Wow.
What's his problem, Commodore?
Full plates
How things different the series could have been if
The Delta
Hunter
Ray.
had stayed on. Jeez.
Captain, you'll remember these gentlemen. Two flashes mean no. I thought you might make an exception for them.
Jeez.
May I remain for a moment? No, I have come, Captain. It's only 6 days away at maximum warp. I disobeyed your orders before, Captain. But this time, I must. I know it is treachery and it's mutiny.
Once more, Jose. Spock stated he received a message for us to come here. He entered same in his log. That's all the proof I require.
Maybe Spock was lying if he's planning to
No message
do something that'll be dubbed as mutiny.
No message remains that your first officer's former captain is hospitalized, horribly injured at this base. And that same first officer seems to be the only one who heard that message.
Yeah, he must. I mean, if he's doing all this, like, then he must have lied about that message. Nerve grip, or nerve pinch, Vulcan grip. That just instantaneously knocks you out. There's barely even a cry of "whoa" or anything. It's quite handy for such a situation like this.
Oh, have I? A battery-driven heart.
And there's no way he could even have asked for that message to be sent.
I mean, all the signs are pointing that it was. The message wasn't received.
Harry, what are you doing here?
I have security clearance, Chief.
Who gave you clearance? I haven't been notified. You're cross-circuiting it.
The ship's captain. Come in, Starbase. Come in, Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk, you have confirmation, Miss Uhura.
Hansen here, Captain.
Our destination has been scramble-fed into ship's computers. Mr. Spock is with me here. He'll answer all questions. Kirk out.
Yeah, now he can just tell him what to do.
Computers will handle the helm on this voyage, Mr. Hansen. Course will be computered and set automatically.
Keeps blinking no. No to what?
To what
Let's
Spock
try
is doing,
questioning.
Either a message was received.
or it wasn't.
Either someone sent a message diverting us here, or someone on board the ship lied about receiving it.
Could that someone be Mr. Spock? Means he's incapable of telling a lie.
But he never
He's
really
also
told
having-
a lie, did he?
That embarrassing.
Someone's interfering with my command and my ship. I don't know who it is, but I mean to find out.
McCoy here.
You needed aboard the Enterprise, Doctor. Medical emergency.
Well, what is it?
All we have on it, Doctor. Just needed aboard.
Should he be asking when he's been told there's a medical emergency? Even if it's not legit, maybe Spock set it up, but...
For eyes of Starfleet Command only.
Oh. I'm certifying I ordered you to read it.
That's
But it does name the only Earth ship that ever visited the planet.
Wasn't that the place where they went to in the pilot?
commanded by Captain Christopher Pike.
Yes.
With a half-Vulcan science officer named Spock.
Commodore! Captain Pike, he's gone.
Linda's here. What is it?
Starship Enterprise, Commodore.
Energized?
It's warping out of...
Kirk not on board. Jeez.
Strange with no navigator on duty.
The Enterprise knows where she's going, Mr. Hansen.
I'm assuming he beamed Pike on board.
You come with me, please.
Okay, maybe Bones might actually get the truth here. It's a fascinating episode, I have to say, though.
What is this, Spock? Please.
Still beeping no.
To Dr. McCoy. I'm recording you this message, Bones, so there'll be no misunderstanding. I'm sorry to have to make it an order. You are not to disturb Captain Pike with any questions. Follow Spock's instructions to the letter. Kirk out.
No. I think he's saying no.
Spock is headed for Talos 4, all right. Pulling ahead of us fast. If we turn back now, we've just got barely enough to get us back to the base.
It's not going to respond to you, Jim. Whatever Spock's decided to do, he's going to do it. I guess Kirk kind of feels he has a obligation, duty to protect his crew as well, because it could be that they're going against their will.
2 hours of oxygen left.
Wonderful.
We step on that deck, Spock is finished. Court-martial, disgraced.
Roll. Lock on to shuttlecraft following us.
Locked on. Tractor beam ready.
Send an armed team to the bridge. Transporter room, stand by to beam Captain Kirk aboard.
Oh.
Doctor, as senior officer present, I present myself to you for arrest.
What?
What? The charge. I never received orders to take command. Doctor.
He needs to give the order.
Mr. Spock is under arrest.
I think he'd go himself even if they weren't there, but I guess to make it official. But understand that where are they now? So they just orbit in space? Are they at Talos 4?
Service. This is the most painful moment I've ever faced. This hearing is convened. Request denied.
May I inquire on what grounds, Captain?
They don't know what these reasons are yet.
Are you aware in pleading guilty that a further charge involving the death penalty must be held against you?
What?
Should this vessel... What has it accomplished to go there? Or to
I think in the world of Star Trek, the death penalty would be something that they would partake in.
This is 13 years ago.
Captain Pike, were any record tapes of this nature made during your voyage?
We're passing through an all-style
This was a very good episode. I really enjoyed this episode, actually.
Oxygen atmosphere.
And they could still be alive, even after 18 years.
If they survived the crash.
To be certain.
Not without any indication of survivors, no. Continue on to the Vega colony and take care of our own sick and injured first. What's that?
It's a beverage.
I didn't say there's anything wrong with me. Oh, I've had it, Phil.
To the point of finally taking my advice, arrest leave.
Considering resigning.
And do what?
Well, for one thing, go home. Nice little town with 50 miles of parkland around it. Remember I told you I had 2 horses?
I think I might have said it when I watched it, but that sounds like bliss.
On the Orion colony.
You and a...
We're intercepting a follow-up message, sir. There are crash survivors on Talos.
Spock, I'm truly amazed at your technical prowess in somehow manufacturing all this. But this is a court of space law, not a theater. This man mutinied, stole your ship, abducted Captain Pike. Well, for me, this has gone far enough.
We still haven't heard the full story.
We do not. Deadlock. And
Not
since
a
I'm...
deadlock. There's still one member
Pike.
of the trial board to be heard from.
It's up to you. Do we continue under these conditions?
I think because he doesn't want to see Spock die, you know. Get the death penalty.
A little information on this planet. We'll have to leave the ship's most experienced officer here covering us.
She's played a different character now, isn't she, in the show? Loaxana Troy, as they call her. So I was loving the planet, as I said, I always do. I always love it when we beam out these kind of desolate, barren-like planets. It's almost like a recap episode as well, isn't it? And that humming sound is also a little like, I don't know if they're supposed to be hearing that, but again, like Beneath the Planet of the Apes. Mentioning that film, if any people have seen it, when Brent goes down with Nova and they start to hear this humming sound, and it leads them to the just mutant humans. And this was a front, I think, if my memory serves me right, with these people. Just picture Kirk like Pike there. Yeah, but these things look so strange.
I think it's time to show the captain our secret. A perfect choice.
I wonder will that come back around that she said that. How can they have all this footage? I don't get this.
Spock here. There is no survivors encampment, number one. This is all some sort of trap. We've lost the captain. Do you read?
At the time, they thought that's what the case was.
Enterprise receiving transmissions from planet Talos 4 in violation of Starfleet general orders.
And the images we've been seeing are
coming from Talos 4, sir.
Captain Kirk is hereby relieved to assume command of the Enterprise. Disable vessel if necessary to prevent further contact.
You have deliberately invited the death penalty. You've not only finished yourself, Spock, but you finished your captain as well.
Where that Captain Kirk knew nothing of this.
And you're aware that a captain is responsible for everything that occurs on his ship. Vessel back to manual control.
There's nothing Kirk can do here.
I respectfully decline.
Oh.
Very well, you've earned the consequences. This court is in recess.
I need to talk to Pike again, I think. Although it's obviously difficult to really proper communicate.
Do you know what you're doing? Have you lost your mind?
Captain, Jim, please. Don't let him stop me. It's your career and Captain Pike's life.
He's got another shot. Well, could he get a death penalty as well if he goes along with this?
Lock him up.
Definitely one of the more, to be concluded next week, definitely one of the more engrossing episodes so far of the series. Right, that was the Menagerie Part 1, and I really enjoyed this episode. I thought the way they kind of built up this tension between Spock and Kirk, and this kind of this severing this sense of trust, because like even like Bones says, like, you know, do you hear what you're saying, Jim? Like, Spock, this couldn't happen. And I think like to pick him as the character to make this decision and go against orders, it makes it that much stronger. And excuse me, I love as well that like even though towards the end there's still a bit of Kirk that he does trust what Spock is saying, even though he can't obviously yet find the root of why he's doing this, but I think there's a part of him that still believes what he's telling is the truth. But what I was really surprised about was the death penalty. Like, that's still kind of intact in like the world of Star Trek, you know, the 24th, whatever it was, TNG's 24th century. Yeah, this is 24th century as well, but 80 years after. So this is probably early 24th century, but still, like, it always kind of that thing of like, we're going very progressive and past kind of stuff like that, you know. So that was kind of surprising, but interesting to hear that was still intact as something they would do as a punishment. And seeing, I think it was great that they brought Captain Pike back. I think that was a really good thing, because that's one thing I probably would say about the episodes, even though I've enjoyed most of them, was it's kind of one of those things, it's very episodic. So when you do see something that refers back to a previous episode, it really stands out in a good way. Probably the only kind of criticism I would have of the episode is with the clips. They maybe showed a bit too much of the pilot. Obviously it was good to kind of remind you of things, but I think maybe the scenes went on maybe too long that you didn't need to see all of. Maybe that was just to pad out the runtime or what, but it kind of felt a little bit like a clip show, you know. So that was probably the only criticism I would have on it. But very intrigued to see kind of how it plays out in the second part, in part 2. But guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on the Menagerie Part 1, and obviously just kind of spoilers to a minimum. Try not to kind of refer too much to Part 2 until I've seen that next week. But until next time, guys, slán go fóill.